What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? Dobrunsky here, and today it's going to be a very quick video where I'm just going to cover what I think are 5 key takeaways from the final patch notes that were just posted today before patch 2.4 went live. Now, I'm going to be entirely honest, these notes were, in my opinion, a little bit muddy. They didn't actually highlight specific changes from the second phase of PTR, so you kind of had to sift through, but I do think that what I'm going to be covering is the kind of standout key issues. Again, just let me know in the comment section below if you guys think I missed anything major. And again, hope you guys are having a blast playing patch 2.4. I'm actually just coming off of a stream where I was messing around with my no sorceress Grail, which I'm starting out as a fire druid. And then I think from there I might go to Foden, other things, other builds. I'm just having a lot of fun, and I hope the same is for you guys. But the first point that I want to cover here, was asked this so many times on today's stream, is the actual official date of when the ladder is launching. So today, April the 14th, was the launch of 2.4 patch. North America, April the 28th, 5 p.m. PDT. Europe, April the 29th, 2 a.m. CEST. And Asia, April the 29th at 9 a.m. KST. That is going to be the official date of when first ladder launch of Diablo 2 Resurrected is going to take place. Next up, we have 2 pretty significant skill reworks for the Barbarian. So the first being Whirlwind. They changed it so that when you cast Whirlwind on a monster, it will end where you initially clicked on that monster. You're not going to get stuck in these crazy long Whirlwind paths where if a monster runs away from you, you're pretty much just stuck whirlwinding across the map to that monster. That is no longer a thing. And the second change is that prior to this patch, if you were to click Whirlwind on a monster that was right next to you, instead of initiating Whirlwind, you would just do a normal attack. It would always kind of interrupt the skill and make it feel very clunky. That is no longer the case. Basically, adjacent enemies, if you click Whirlwind on them and they're right next to you, you'll still Whirlwind. You're not going to do that single strike attack, so that is huge. And the second skill update here is Leap Attack. Now, if you guys remember from the first phase of PTR, so they sped up the Leap Attack and they added more damage and synergy. Second phase, they added a small little ring of AoE damage, but it was almost laughable. It was a great idea in concept, but the damage output was honestly laughable. It is now changed to, they basically increased the damage scaling of that ring, so that's really cool. Just imagine Leap attacking around. Again, we'll have to test this with more endgame builds, but more damage is cool. And then Leap is going to synergize that AoE ring of damage too. So I'm hoping that we can get something like, I don't know, number-wise, maybe we have 12k Leap Attack and 3 to 4k AoE ring of damage or something like that, because prior to this update, and again, we'll have to test it with endgame setups, but it was 12k leap and 400 or 500 physical damage with a level 40 leap. So that's not even enough to kill monsters in Nightmare, so I hope it's kind of bridging the gap. I don't expect the AoE ring to knock out wave 5 of Bale, but it would be cool if some lesser minions in hell difficulty with really good gear like carvers and stuff like that, that if it can actually take them out, just to provide the Barbarian with some pretty good AoE. But that is 2 significant updates for the Barbarian. Next up, we have some pretty significant changes for the offensive auras for the Paladin. Now, this has been such a divisive issue in the community. I've been on kind of one side of the argument. Other content creators and people from the community have been on my side, as well as the opposing side, where they don't really like kind of the damage output and scaling of the Holy Freeze, Holy Fire, and Holy Shock auras. But if I'm reading this correctly, they're saying that for Holy Fire, the aura will deal double damage at melee range and linearly scale to normal damage at maximum range. So if I'm reading this correctly, it's basically reverting back to the original changes of the offensive Holy Fire aura. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys agree or disagree, but a lot of people thought that it was the Hand of Justice dual Dragon build was stupid OP. I really don't think it is, because you need 2 Sur runes, 2 low runes, and a Cham rune for a build that, yeah, it does crush players 1 cows, but it really falls flat on its face on higher difficulty settings, and especially areas like the Chaos Sanctuary. And I just find an interesting argument, not to rehash it, but if you have a Poison Necro, players 8, between lower res, a Poison Nova amp, and then Corpse Explosion, you can literally obliterate entire pit maps. But the whole player 1 cow thing, I do get the idea and the argument of it being a passive skill and damage and whatnot, but anyways, I don't want to rehash that argument, but it is interesting to me, and I do think this is a significant point to note here, is that they've basically reverted the original Holy Fire damage. At least that's how I'm reading it. So for the second last major change, this one really stood out to me in the gameplay section. It states that blocking will no longer interrupt a player while performing a skill or attack. If a player character triggers a block during this time, the damage will still be negated, but the animation will not play. This is very interesting, especially for me, because I really do like playing the Fury Druid or shapeshifting builds. Now, typically in the past, prior to this patch launch, you would usually go for stacking very high faster hit recovery and two-handed weapons because your FHR breakpoints were quicker than faster block rate breakpoints. So Storm Shield Grief combos weren't really ideal because you'd be stuck in this block clock animation. So I do think this is interesting. It could potentially shift up the meta a little bit because the Fury Druid has always been tons of damage. It has always been that way. Fury is insane amount of max ED, but it's been in some cases a relatively squishy build because you have very low defense, and then again you typically didn't want to go for block rate setups. But it is interesting to me, just kind of thinking that if I'm reading this correctly, you could rock like a Grief Storm Shield setup with String of Ears and have 50% damage reduction and a max block setup and still have tons of plus life from Oak Sage or just CTA and shapeshifting werewolf form. So I do think this is interesting and potentially brings out an aspect of making like a very tanky werewolf, because that's one thing that when they were talking about kind of like the fantasy of what they wanted to achieve, Werebear, they wanted a very slow, hard-hitting, wouldn't miss, high defense, tanky build. And Werewolf is supposed to be like fast, maneuverable, hard-hitting, but a little bit weaker. And it makes me think that maybe like a max block, high damage reduction setup with Grief and Storm Shield, Fury Druid might become a pretty tanky character. So I do think this was an interesting combination. Again, it doesn't just apply to the Fury Druid. That's just the first kind of character that I thought off the top of my head. But I do think that's interesting that if you're attacking, it will just negate the damage, but it won't show the block animation. So for the very final massive game-breaking change we wanted to cover in this video, when I first read this, I was kind of concerned like maybe mana drain is like interesting wording, like maybe they mean like the Spectres and the Chaos Sanctuary, that's what they're referring to as mana drain. Now apparently, again, coming off my stream, people in chat told me that this is actually confirmed and working. They have fixed mana burn. So originally I think it zapped like 256% more mana than what it was supposed to, and then that actually got multiplied a second time, so it was actually double the 256. So you basically get tapped once and all your mana is gone. I've always stood on the side of like I really wanted mana burn fixed because I think it opens up some possibilities. Like take the Sorceress for example. I think that, again, I haven't tested this yet. I really do want to do like a max energy shield Sorceress build, but how many Sorceress builds are always CTA and Spirit on the offhand? If we can now rock like a Nova Sorceress with max energy shield and max TK, or Hydra Sorceress with max energy shield, max TK, same with Frozen Orb, like any of those builds that have a lot of extra skill points, you could have like a 400 or 500 life, full max energy, plus mana, small charm, like Silk Weaves, Frostburns, dual SOJs, like perfect Sapphire Shaco, like insane, like 3000 mana energy shield builds that have like good absorb from TK, high energy shield. I just think that's going to be really interesting. The offhand, instead of rocking CTA and Spirit, you could rock like Harmony, excuse me, not Harmony, Memory. So if you find a +3 to energy shield base, then you roll Memory, that can give you +9 to energy shield, and then on top of like Shaco, Mara's, Arachnid's Mesh, dual SOJs, Torch, Annie, like you could just have an insane plus skill to energy, and then even full lightning skillers. So I really like this. I think it shifts up the meta, and hopefully it will maybe make builds like the Whirlwind Barbarian a little bit less annoying, and melee builds in general. Again, we'll have to test this, but this is probably the most exciting change for me. Again, guys, I'll have this blog post linked in the description below so you guys can just do a full read over. There's a lot to digest, but a lot of it is kind of also the same stuff that was in the original patch notes for the second phase of PTR 2.4. But overall, I'm super excited. I've been having a lot of fun on ladder. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you guys think I missed anything major, but these were definitely the 5 key standout changes to me. Again, just any feedback is good in the comment section below as long as you're not a dick. Other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on my next YouTube video or live stream. Peace out.